everyone. Let's talk about cross-region internal application load balancer. Cross-region internal application load balancer is recently introduced and offered by Google Cloud, but this is in the preview mode. So today in this video, we are going to talk about the internal load balancer cross-region and why this cross-region internal application load balancer has been introduced, and why do we need it, and in what scenario that business needs this type of load balancer. And we will also see the demo with this cross-region ILB with the managed instance group. So before I deep dive into this topic, let's just understand the load balancer that is offered by the Google. Specifically, focus on the internal load balancer, application internal load balancer. Okay, so let me show my slide. So as you know that there are two types of load balancer. Cloud load balancer offer two types of load balancer: application load balancer and network load balancer. So application load balancer again is of two types: external application load balancer and internal application load balancer. Then network load balancer again is of two types. So application load balancer is a layer 7 and network load balancer is a layer 4. So in this video, we are not going to talk about network load balancer. We will only focus on application load balancer, only the ILB, internal application load balancer. So external versus internal load balancing. So external load balancing distribute the traffic that comes from the internet, right, and to your Google Cloud VPC network. But in internal load balancer actually distribute the traffic that comes from the client within your network. As the load balancer or the client connected to your VPC network by using the VPC network peering, Cloud VPN or Cloud Interconnect. Basically, even if your VPC network is connected with some other network using the peering or VPN or Cloud Interconnect, then those people or those client can also access your internal load balancer. So this is the diagram that you can choose a load balancer. So here on the left hand side, I have the application load balancer, and we have external and internal. Let's focus on the internal. So internal, it earlier it was just a regional internal application load balancer. The cross region was not there, but since Google has offered this service which is in the preview mode, and that is why you are seeing this cross region under the internal. So cross region internal application load balancer. We will see this. We will see the demo. Now let's first understand internal application load balancer. So as I said, internal application load balancer is internal proxy based load balancing of layer 7. It is a layer 7 load balancer, and this load balancer use the internal IP address from your VPC network. These load balancer can be a regional or a cross regional. So regional means the backend and the client has to be in the regional, and the cross region then we will discuss in some time. So mode of operations, you can see that here the regional internal application load balancer support only regional backends, and then you have the cross region internal load balancer supports global backend and globally accessible. So clients from any region can send the traffic to the load balancer. So typically what happen when your internal client sends the request on HTTP or HTTPS to your internal load balancer, then your backend is generally on available in the regional form, right? Let me show this second slide, which is a typical regional internal application load balancer. So here you can see that this is your external application load balancer, and the user is sending the traffic from the internet to this load balancer, and this load balancer is sending the traffic to your front end, and then front end is also having this internal application load balancer, which is a regional, which means the traffic is sending from sending to the regional backend, and the client is also the regional. So here there is no failover, and also there are multiple ILBs you can see in all region: US West, US Central, or in US East. You'll see there are three internal load balancer. So so there are a lot of internal application load balancer that you have to manage. So regional mode ensure that all the clients and backends are from a specified region, which helps you to need a regional compliance. So that is for a different business use case. If you want to have maintain the regional compliance, and regional ILB enabled with the rich traffic control capabilities based on the HTTP or HTTPS parameters. This load balancing also use the path-based routing. If let's say if your backend if you want to redirect the path, let's say on image to the image backend service, and for video for the video backend service, depending on your backend service, you can use the path. Here you can see the regional backends, and you could have multiple regional ILPs. So there is no failover, nothing, right? Now, cross-region internal application load balancer is basically introduced to improve your service availability by creating the global backend service, right? In regional, it was a regional backend service, but in a cross-region, it has a global backend service with a backend in a multiple regions. So now, with having this one internal load balancer, you can have a global backend service which can redirect the traffic to a multiple regions. The front end VIPs in multiple regions. So you can have a multiple front end based on the regions, and then you can use the DNS routing policy to return the optimal VIP to your client. So your client is basically hitting this VIP IP, or maybe the DNS IP, and this cross regional internal load balancer will redirect the traffic to the specific front end based on the reason. If let's say the client VM is from US West 1, all the request from client VM, this client VM will forward to the US West 1 backends. If the client is coming from US East, then the traffic will be forwarded to the backend service in US East 1. So you can see that cross region failover if backend in a particular region are down or during the entire regional outage. So even if any of the region goes down, the traffic will be continued to serve from the another region. That is the advantage of the cross region internal application load balancer. So these are um, some of the features that you can look at it, since cross region provide the VIP virtual IP address of the load balancer, and it is allocated from a subnet in a specific Google Cloud region. Sorry, this is the basically the feature of regional internal application load balancer and cross-regional application load balancer. So here the VP is allocated from a subnet in a specific Google Cloud region, and here allocated from a subnet in a specific Google Cloud region. Same, but VIP address from multiple region can share the same global backend service. And you can configure the DNS based global load balancing using the DNS routing policy. We will see that we will also set up this DNS routing policy in the DNS service. And then the client access here in the regional internal application load balancer is not globally accessible by default, but you can optionally click this option, enable global access. Then your client from any other region can access your regional internal application load balancer. Here the client access is always accessible, always globally accessible, and client from any Google Cloud region can send the traffic. Here the backends are regional, and here the backends are global. And high availability and failover, automatic failover to healthy backends in the same region, right? So and automatic failover to healthy backends in the same or different region. And this is the overall architecture. You can see that we will follow the same design in our demo. So what we are going to achieve here, we have two regions, US West 1 and US East 1, where we are having some backends. This VM, this web servers are running on this both the regions. And now what we happen, instead of having this two internal load balancer, we are going to create single internal load balancer, application internal load balancer with the two front ends, right? And what happened that the client from the respective region is going to send the traffic using the DNS policy, and the DNS policy route the traffic based on the client proximities or client location to the appropriate forwarding rule, right? And this forwarding rule is based on the region. So since we have two regions, so therefore we have two forwarding rule. If we have three regions, then we can have three forwarding rules. Now what this forwarding will do, this forwarding will sending the traffic. If it is HTTP traffic, then it send it to the target proxy, and if there is any path based or URL based mapping, then it send the traffic to the appropriate backend service. So this is very important, right? Backend service global. Here you can see that the backend service, this is one single backend service which is a global. Now that when the traffic is coming from this forwarding rule, then this backend service forward the traffic to the backend instance in the US West region. If the client is sending a request from US East, the traffic is sending to the backend instance in the US East 1 region. Even if this region is goes down, let's say that if US East goes down, then what happens? If the and if the client is sending the request from the US East, the traffic will divert to the US West 1 backend service. Okay. Uh, this proxy only subnet is required in both the case, even if it is a regional ILB or cross region ILB. The proxy subnet is basically nothing. It actually receive the traffic from the forwarding rule, and then it proxy to the, and then the new connection start from the proxy subnet to your backend service. It is similar to the your global load balancer, but here you need to configure the proxy only subnet. Basically, Google use this subnet to deploy the Envoy proxy for you. So the question is, why do we need a cross-region internal application load balancer, right? So there are many situations where you need as one single load balancer. Let's say if your application is, if you're having an application which is spread over all over the which is a global application, then if you go with the regional application load balancer, then for each region you're going to deploy a load balancer. Here also you will deploy a load balancer, so you will end up with the two load balancer. And if you have multiple regions, let's say if you have multiple regions here, let's say in Asia maybe, or so, then you will also deploy one more load balancer here. So you can see that there are multiple load balancers you have to manage now. And the backend, which in the backend service is going to be a regional, and there is a no failover. If let's say this region goes down, if this region goes down, then what happen in this case? In this case, in the case of regional internal load balancer, the client from this region would not be able to access your web server. So that is a problem, right? So in a cross region, there is a failover. So even if this region goes down, the app your application will continue to serve the request all over the world. All right. So that is the reason that we use cross region load balancer. So let's quickly jump onto my console. We will see this demo. We will first see this demo with the instance group. So I have this Google Cloud official document, which is a nice document to set up to how to set up this cross regional internal application load balancer with the instance group or managed instance group. So we will follow the steps here. Okay. So uh, we have two region. I'm going to perform this demo in two region: US West one and US East one. Okay. Just to start this, first we need to create the network with this name, and then you have to create the subnets for your backend, West one and US East one. So I already have this VPC network created, LB network CRS reg. This is the name of my VPC network with two subnets. One is in US East 1 and another is US West 1. US West 1, I have the internal IP range 10.1.2.0, and and this for US East I have 10.1.3.0. So this is my VPC subnet IP range. Right now, the next step it is saying create. So here, we have already created these steps already. Now here it's saying configure the proxy only subnet. So proxy only subnet provides a set of IP address that Google basically used to run the Envoy proxy for you. This proxy subnet or this proxy terminate the connection from the client and creates a new connection to the backend. So basically, it is breaking the connections from the client in two parts. The first part, the client sends the request to the load balancer, and the this front end, and from the front end, there is a second connection will be initiated towards your backend. So this proxy has some IP range, right? So basically, Google reserve this IP on your behalf, but it will create the proxy only subnet. Okay, so let's create this. What I'm going to do, let me just duplicate this. Here I will open this Cloud Shell. And also mind that this cross regional application load balancer is in still in preview mode, so you will not see a lot of options, specifically the load balancer related option from the GUI console. You will have to create this load balancer configuration with the command line. Okay. So once this is for public or maybe for the production one, then you will be able to create it from the console as well. So anyways, we are good with this document. So let's create this proxy only subnet. Let me open my Cloud Shell. So uh, for uh, for US West one, I'm going to reserve this IP range 10.129, and for US East one, I'm going to reserve this 10.130. Any random IP I can select it, but make sure this doesn't conflict with your subnet. All right, so you can see that your both proxy subnets are created. If you just refresh it or just click it again, you will see it's not created, or what happened. Maybe I have to refresh it. Yeah, it's there now. So you can see that you have proxy only subnet 1 in US West 1. This is the IP range, and the purpose of this proxy only subnet is to cross region manage proxy. Okay, so these are not regional, actually these are cross regional. Same here. And now what is the next? So configure the firewall rule. So here you need to configure the firewall. There are three firewall rules that you need. The first firewall rule is saying to allow the SSH connection on port 22 from the public internet. Right, so we will need this SSH connection to log into our web server or client VM. Okay, and there is the second firewall is saying create the health check rule, the ingress rule, allowing coming from this IP range. Basically these are the Google managed IP range for, and this IP range is basically used to see the health of your backend instance or backend VMs. The third firewall rule is basically a firewall rule that is used from your proxy only subnets range towards your backend. Basically, from this, if I show you here, whatever proxy only subnet range are, proxy only subnet to our backend instance, right? And that is why you can see that I have, if I show you the firewall rule here, let me show you. So I have first firewall rule which is saying SSH from the internet. So you can see that all from the internet it is allowing on port 22. And this is my health check from the Google public range to check the health of my instance, backend instance. And this is the one that I was talking about, the third firewall rule, allow traffic to the backend from the proxy range. Remember that I know I just 10.129.0.0 and 10.130.0.0 is the IP range of your subnet proxy, right? This is your IP range, right? And that's why we use this firewall rule. So this is already created, right? I have already created just to save the time. So otherwise you can follow the these steps, and you can create it. Now we need to create the instance group, manage instance group. So what I have done, I have already created a web server. I have manually deployed the web server. This web 1 and web 2, you can see that the web 1 is in US East 1B and the web 2 is US East 1B. So web 1 is in US East 1 and web 2 is US West 1. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to create unmanaged instance group, right? If you want, you can follow the managed instance group, but just I want just to save the time, and to show you, I am going to create a unmanaged instance group. It doesn't matter whatever instance group, you can create it. So let me just create it. And also let me see my compute engine zone. So one is B, US East 1B, US West 1B. Okay. So here you need to select, I want to name it IG uh, West 1. And here I'm going to select, sorry. So you select this IG West 1, select your network, and then select your VM and create it. Similarly, you create the second instance group for IG East 1 and select the US East, select the network and the web server, and create the instance group. All right, so you can see that your instance group is getting created. The West one is created, East one is still being processed. Okay, so both the instance groups are ready now. Let's move forward. So I have already deployed this, this startup script onto my web server, so you don't need to create it again. Now this is the one that we have to configure the load balancer. So here to configure the load balancer, you need to first create the health checkup, right? So to create the health checkup, just simply copy this command, come here. Your health checkup has been created. Now this is the backend service. Now I need to create the global backend service, right? This backend service I'm talking about, the backend service global. As of now, my web server, my instance groups are ready. Now I'm going to create the backend service global. So simply copy this command and paste it here. Okay, so my backend global backend service is also ready. Now I have to add the backends to the backend service. Basically, those backends, these are those backend. I need to add to this global backend service. So the command is you need to just copy this first one, and I need to modify it because here the instance group name is different. So what I'm going to do, I think I already copied it. Let me show you here. First I'm at sorry, yeah, this is fine. So this is my backend service, and this is the instance group IG West 1, which we have just created here, IG West 1, and the instance group zone is US 1B, and this has to be global. And similarly, we will use the second backend where we will choose our second instance group. Let's wait for a few seconds. Yeah, done. Let's create the second. Let's add the second backend to the backend service. Okay, so both my backends are added. Now you need to create the URL map. So just copy this, and so your URL map is also created. Now you need to associate this target proxy to this URL map. Basically, you are creating the target proxy. This is also done, and yeah, if you want to apply the certificates, or for if you're using the HTTPS proxy, then you can use your own certificate, or you can also use the Google Cloud provided certificate. In my case, I don't need a certificate for this demo, so I'm going with the HTTP only. Now this is very important part, and here you need to create the forwarding rules. So this is very important, right? So what you're going to do, simply copy this command, forwarding rule for both the regions. Remember that, see, this is the forwarding rule and this is the forwarding. So we are creating this forwarding rule in US West 1 first, and then the forwarding rule in US East 1. Okay, similarly, add the forwarding rule in US East. All right, so both the forwarding rules are created. For HTTPS, you can create the forwarding rule, but I don't need the HTTPS connection. Now let's check. Let's check if your load balancer has been ready. Let's see, go to the load balancing option, and here you will see your load balancer. Why? Okay, let me check what is the issue. US East is fine. What happened to West 1? It may take some time, maybe. All right, so I just fixed it. The instance group. What happened that one of my web server, Web 2, which is in US West region, this Apache 2 was not running. So I just started this service, and the moment I started, you can see that it is showing the healthy. So now let's review this internal load balancer. Cross is an internal load balancer. You can see that you have two forwarding rule. One is US West 1, and second in the US East. The IP is coming from their subnet range 10.2 10.99 and 10.1.3.99. This is your global backend service, and under this global backend service, you have two instance group, which is in different region, in US West 1B and US East 1B. Okay, so far so good. Now we are going to test it. Now how we are going to test it? If I have already, you can see that I have already deployed two client machine. One is US West 1A and another one is US West East 1B. Okay, so let's SSS to, or maybe from here we can connect. So to connect, let's first connect the US West one. Basically, I'm doing the SSH from the Cloud Shell. So you can see I am now into this instance, the US client US West 1A, this instance. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, um, so this is my load balancer, right? Now, since I am in US West 1, so I will hit this front end. So how can I hit this? Curl the pay serve from Web 2. And where is my Web 2? My Web 2 is in the West US West 1, right? And similarly, if I log into my East 1 client machine, and if I try to curl 10.1.399, which is the front end IP of East 1. So let's see what happens. Yeah, the pages are from the Web 1. So Web 1 is running in the US East 1. So right, so here the client, when requesting the forwarding rule in US West 1, is serving from the instance group from the of or the backend from the same region. Similarly, the client is hitting this forwarding rule. The request is getting served from the this regional backend instance, right? Now, what happen if I let's say if one of my region goes down or one of my backend goes down, right? Let's say in US West, this backend instance goes down. Let's see where I am right now. So I am in US East 1B right now, and what happen if this backend instance goes down? So to simulate this scenario, what you can do, you can just log into the or SSH into your US East instance Web 1. And right now it is serving from Web 1, right? So I'm going to stop this, purposefully stop this, and let's see if this failovers to the another reason, right? So let's see, sudo systemctl status apache 2. It's running. Let me stop it. All right, now this so basically this backend is now failed or not healthy, or the application is not running. So what happened in this case, when the client VM hit this forwarding rule, then it is going to fail over to the US West 1 backend instance. Okay, now let's hit it. All right, you can see that I am now getting a request from Web 2. Earlier it was Web 1. So this the forwarding rule is now sending the request to the another region. That's why we call it a cross regional application load balancer. Now do one thing. Let's uh, let's restart this. I mean, let's start this, and let's first start this. Okay. Now, if you go to company on a real world, you are not going to give these IPs to your customer, right? Customer normally use the domain or the URLs, right? So we are going to use the DNS policies, right? So how we can set up this policy? So you need to go to um, you go to the DNS service here. I have already have this private domain, private zone. So we can use this, and this private zone is basically used to my VPC network. And here you need to add this routing policy. Now, what this routing policy is saying, let's create it cross, or maybe you can use it myapp.example.com, and then click on next. So here you need to select the routing policy on geolocation, right? Because we are working as a cross regional load balancer. and here you need to add the new routing data. So what I'm saying if the client is coming from US West 1, then this the request goes to the cross regional internal application load balancer. And the forwarding rule, what is the forwarding rule? If you see here, forwarding rule for US West 1, it is 10.1.2.99. So here I will select 10.1.2.99. Similarly, I'll add one more geolocation policy routing data, which says if the traffic is coming from east, we have east, right? East 1. So choose this regional internal application load balancer, and the forwarding rule is going to be 10.1.3.99. Done. Next. And you can review this. So from US West 1 region, the forwarding rule is 10.1.2.99. 10.1.2.99 for US West 1, and for US East, this is what I am defining for my domain, for my zone. See, you have this my app example.com is ready. So let's do one thing. So right now I am into the US East client, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to curl it. So since this is a web, I mean this page is serving from the web one. Why? Because I am into the East region, and if you can see, the web one is in the US East region, right? That's why it is sending the traffic from the US East. And now if I go to the West one, I go to the West one client machine, and from here, let me type my app dot sample.com. You can see the page is serving from the web 2. Okay, page is serving from the web 2, which is in US West B. Now let's do one thing. Let's log into this machine and purposefully stop the application. Basically, I want to show you the failover similar in the similar way that we have done before on the IP base. So I'm gonna right now it is running. I'm gonna stop it. Okay. Now let's try to hit this. Yeah. So just a millisecond, the request is redirected to the web one, right? So this is what you can get the benefit of having this cross-region application load balancer. So with the single internal load balancer, you can have multiple front end, and you can have the global backend service, right? So you can use this cross-region application load balancer depending on your business requirement. So this is very useful if one region backends are down, then traffic failovers to another region. And cross-regional internal application role balancer is in a preview mode. So right now you can only configure it with the help of command line. Very soon you will see this option for the production one, and then you can see the GUI based option. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment sections. I hope you enjoy this session. And coming videos, I am also going to cover, this cross-regional load balancer with the GKE cluster. So we will see the same demo, but this time the backend is going to be your GKE cluster, and we are using the network endpoint group. All right. Thanks for watching it. See you in next video. Take care. Bye.